I found again something very curious today. It's not mechanical keyboards though, but Mac related topic everyone loves here the most. Obviously here from Cruxel's aka Gerd Hoffman's macOS from I guess Red Hat, or is it whatever, I think Red Hat, but Linux and KVM fame. And I wonder that this was not more widely reported. I just stumbled over that last night accidentally from all the random stuff you're reading left and right. And he writes here on his blog post, after one of the minor updates, macOS 10.14 or 10.3 or 0.4, don't remember, macOS Mojave, guests started to switch video modes. So some things are curious here, right? So this developers, QEMU and so on, Red Hat, KVM, run macOS apparently, allegedly now in virtual machines as a hobby or something. And another thing, so of course, who did this groundbreaking low-level work? That was someone I know in Germany, Alexander van Graaf, who I know personally, and so he did all the emulating Apple SMC and debugging all the other glitches and bits and pieces in KVM and QEMU 10.6 times, really long time ago. And because he also is doing KVM and worked at SUSE and now I think at Amazon AWS and stuff, this because busy, and so I actually kept updating those patches for QEMU KVM. Actually, this was for the most part it was in QEMU KVM only if you wanted to KVM some little like IRQ inversion for old-fashioned IRQs or something, and some other glue. Anyway, you still find this. And fun fact, these patches were for quite some years maintained as using this already. Copyright strike our More Live channel. And why do we use this? Of course, for testing, automation, building and stuff. Certainly much nicer to manage in virtual form than on real Macs where you can roll back and snapshot and stuff like your primary one. Because one time it was relatively expensive for them, re-enabling debugging and quirking 10.11 or what that was, I said a couple of years ago. And that took really long time, especially if you don't do this each and every day, as you see with all my videos. If you poke around there with GDB and the Mach kernel and stuff and figure out why the stuff doesn't boot, long time and was relatively expensive. And I propose to avoid this like once every 5 years. Expensive verb, maybe it's better for each and every one of us. It maybe costs them the same, but they have more constant quality and service if they would have some kind of quarterly fee of something, and we like keep testing it and updating it. But yeah, I'm not that interested. There you see, open source landscape could be so amazing, and then whatever. So but what is really so far we always used, of course, initially we used IDE emulations, and later when AHCI for serial ATI was implemented in QEMU decade ago, 8 years ago or something. Actually, a fun fact, I think AHCI was implemented as a Google Summer of Code project under Alexander van Graaf for exactly macOS emulation, as far as I remember. I could be wrong anyway. And the one thing that I actually also quirked and patched and compiled for this company was there is a VMware SVGA2 kernel extension that even supports going back as next step, I think, at least as far as I remember. At least there was, I mean, fun fact, there is an open, I think it's open source, maybe on GitHub, next step. If you run an x86 next step version in VMware, you can have a little bit accelerated or at least mode setting driver. And that is what this is about. I'm so totally stunned that, and there you see, even if this is some side project that I every other year take a little bit look at and keep using here on our Macs. And even this, I don't even, like, nobody sent me this note here. And so this is relatively new, June 17th. And so he discovered that Mojave started to mode switch, started to offer 3 video modes, and unfortunately full HD, aka 1920 by 1080. So it's total to surprise. I mean, why is Apple doing this? Is hell freezing over, or what is wrong? They do everything they can to alienate their pro customers with failing keyboards, with soldered SSD and partially soldered memory and no ports. And they voluntarily add VirtIO support for macOS? Like, what is happening in this universe? I have no, it's bizarre. And so this is not only graphics, so there is some Apple Virtual Graphic KX, and I actually prepared, just my Mac battery was nearly empty. I had to charge that a little bit, and I confirm this, or let me just put in my password. Didn't require password, how convenient. And so I can confirm this, and so here it is on my Mac. Also, wait a second, we don't have, it's autofocus, so it is really there, so that is not like a fluke or whatever. If it's focusing, can we a little bit focus? Anyway, so I can confirm Apple Virtual Graphic and Apple VirtIO. And also we wanna not only not see me so large. So yeah, this is confirmed. And also actually I once had the idea to always diff all the updates that we have some open textual archive of all the file changes. This is also my recurring calling out here for more disclosure, that we really see what's being changed in operating systems. And because if I would have what I for 10 years was already thinking to really diff each update and make a textual file of all the file changes, I would have seen this immediately, right? This update adds VirtIO, but so you click on update, you don't see anything, what's going on. By the way, maybe fun fact, updates should also always have the possibility to show the files changes, just as I proposed that smartphones, where is my Samsung? Anyway, then iPhone, but whatever, as this is already Apple-centric here. As I proposed the other live stream over a couple of times, that all apps on smartphones, that you can pull down some information and see all the connections it's doing for all the servers. Actually, something Edward Snowden also proposed just the other day on Twitter or something. So what can this do for us? So this allows you to run more macOS more nicely in virtualization. Of course, not yet perfect. So this is, of course, not yet doing acceleration, 2D or 3D, I guess. But I will try this another day, which is, by the way, fun fact, why I also built Horizon. Although, of course, we will like never run macOS for legal reasons on it. But yeah, this is why I actually was taking VGA path through to get this working for macOS. Compiled the VMware. So what we were using with this company there was VMware, the SVGA2 kernel for their for implementing some 3D stuff, right? So this is all Apple proprietary, and you cannot, even if you wanted, there is zero information to write your own 3D driver. Fun fact, right? So this is your primary match on the QEMU ID. So this is really Cyrus. Where was it here? And I'm so surprised, right? You would think so either Apple doesn't even know about this. Maybe these are some rogue runaway run wild developers who want this for their own testing, because certainly the kernel developers and stuff at Apple also want something for testing. And I was always wondering, and by the way, I shouldn't say too much, you know, I have sometimes a little inside knowledge that sometimes I maybe should. So I heard some details of something at Apple. I shouldn't probably say more, but yeah, maybe they're using this, and maybe they didn't even ask management. I have no idea, because this is so bizarre. Again, Apple tries everything to lock their people into their hardware, and then adding this virtualization support, allowing people on Windows or Linux to run this more seamlessly, makes no sense to me. So I would not be surprised if, so either there will be an announcement like that Apple, maybe they are working on their own hypervisor fork for professional stuff on a Mac Pro, but I somehow doubt this. It is not the Apple that I know. And the other option could be that this is some inside job project at Apple, whatever it is, because this here is Cyrus GD5, so this Cyrus logic of what we did low-level programming on the Weather local bus, amazing modern hardware that we emulate here, frame buffer, and yeah, so this allows you mode setting, certainly better than nothing. Otherwise you have no mode setting unless you use the VMware, what I said, open source kernel extension there. But this is also why we at Exacode have a registered kernel extension signing, though we don't publish that. But for our own use, we have a Apple developer, well, they copyright strike our other channel, but we have certainly not a normal developer, but even we are registered having a kernel extension code signing signature. There are amazing stuff that you need to back the holy mighty God there and for your digital code signing certificate. And additionally, so this is not all. So this is not only graphic. And then he wondered, looking around, they noticed Apple VirtIO KX that I just shown you there on the screen. And by the way, I hope I switched the theme though. And yeah, so this implements IO kit personalities, even 9P protocol, 9P VFS, block, console, and transport. And then he tried to switch to his startup disk to VirtIO block. His Clover was a little bit confused. Actually, I'm not using Clover usually, but maybe we need for pass-through, I don't know. I usually used in the last year's O4MF Ternal EFI BIOS. And so his Clover was slightly confused, but nonetheless, I always wonder about the box. How can it be slightly confused, not show the icons, but still boot, but whatever. And it booted macOS fine regardless. And when using this transitional device, so the driver supports transitional device, so the driver apparently maybe only supports legacy mode, maybe. Why this VirtIO? Initially QEMU and other stuff like VMware, when that was invented 20 years ago, they emulated IDE and SCSI, also in QEMU. And eventually for this high performance virtualization, of course, we wanted more performance. And if you emulate IDE and SCSI, you emulate all the old-fashioned bit fields there of all the hardware details, and that's not the most fast, most high performance. And that is why actually this VirtIO, as far as I remember, that was invented by the QEMU KVM folks in also over a decade ago. So we have this already quite some time. And initially this was mostly about block and network. In the meantime, we have also other console, 9P, and graphics, of course. Graphics, of course, being a relatively new thing. And I even, if you're interested in this, I think I went over the VirtIO device version 1.1 specification some 6 months or so earlier this year ago. So previous videos there if you're interested in that details. And we will continue with this, right? I promised we will do our own low-level programming. So sometime soon, in some weeks or months, we will do some low-level programming here with our low-level DOS and microkernel code. So this VirtIO stuff apparently works a little bit, and they could even mount test 9P here. This direct Plan 9 file protocol stuff for sharing files and directories. So all in all, totally amazing news. I only wonder how long will it last. Is this like official or internal side project? Will the management, is it blessed by Apple's management? Maybe not. Will they kill it as soon as they see it? I have no idea. So you better make a backup of this KX while you have them. But yeah, this is of course also with proprietary operating systems, right? You are then left with whatever the vendor gives you. I slightly wonder, will they really do acceleration, 2D, 3D? Maybe this is all they wanted if they use this only internal for OS X testing and debugging. Maybe they never implement acceleration, but on the other hand, we have GPU pass-through, so whatever. All in all, and this is exactly what I was working towards, just that time and stuff. But soon also on this channel, GPU pass-through on macOS, maybe slightly cleaner than other people also. Of course, other channels only show you the blinking glitter there without all the steps by steps, and they just clobber everything together. I'm not the greatest fan of this Hackintosh stuff because, although I sometimes tried it, of course, only for scientific reasons, but many of this Hackintosh stuff, they just put like all kinds of kernel extensions from underground developers, and I'm always feeling a little bit unsure. I don't trust them very much. They could hide all the ransomware and Bitcoin mining in there. Not analyzed most of them, but this is always a little bit shady, right? All this here, it includes this and that, and yeah, I would not run a mission critical stuff with Hackintosh kernel extensions whatsoever. So that's a surprising summary of this morning. I hope you learned something. We have quite some comments. What stream is pretty alright. It started to drop some frames today. Should have probably so interesting to see that you get the yeah, a pity that just today we had some glitchy frames. I hope not too many. And okay, maybe this was the fault. Was at least probably need to rewind. It's of course a pity that I do live stream to save me time of video editing, and then the live streaming stuff fails. Actually, I think this was recurring theme here, Amazing Monolithic Kernels 2019. As you see, okay, of course you don't see here. We had here the recurring theme that Intel Wireless also sucks a little bit and looks like, yeah, if maybe I need to write an OBS plugin that colors the screen red as soon as we get drop frames, because if I talk to the camera then obviously don't see the small drop frames. Also, yeah, here's some invalid packet links. 2019 Intel Wireless firmware still crashes. I had this already earlier and in Russia. And yeah, so much too. Wi-Fi is amazing. In 2019 still not. This is why I usually prefer wired Ethernet. And yeah, this is why I want them in user space. And also this firmware should be open, right? All the governments make the best effort to avoid people tinkering with their Wi-Fi stuff, and the vendors do not even get their Wi-Fi stuff here together. This is here PCIe RX handle, found debug destination, DRAM, dual wireless AC something. And this is already, I updated already 3 times the Intel Wireless firmware, right? So just 2 days ago I updated this to the latest Linux firmware. It is hilarious in my opinion that in 2019 we still have such issues. So let's see. So it's of course ironic that nowadays the access point and wireless is wireless and internet is more stable than Intel Wireless firmware. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, so now we have 0 drop frames. So probably this is so hilarious. I don't know what even you really need to check each value. Fox, what do you mean with you broke? Yeah, I just checked this. So you mean you are one who broke the news, or what you discovered those and spread this news? And Ethernet and Catalina. Okay, that is amazing. But yeah, as soon as Apple realized, I anyway will not buy a new Mac, right? And of course I will only run it in upgraded previously original Mac hardware. How glitchy was the stream? Do I need to restream this? This is really a pity. I really don't want to talk through everything yet again. Hope you learned something anyway. Thanks for the additional updates. And as I said, it would even, you see with all the broken hardware, wireless and stuff, I really don't like that all the hardware nowadays needs firmware like this and is so broken. I mean, how can Intel Wireless firmware still be so broken that it bugs there in the firmware, and why I in general would not recommend to buy this broken stuff. This is really, and well, on the other hand, Intel, I wanted to say, Intel, the companies should develop their stuff so that it works. But on the other hand, Intel is already slow, so it's not like Intel is pushing this stuff to market. They're already right now a little bit lagging behind AMD anyway, but this is, everyone pushes their stuff half-baked to the market and then all the stuff is broken forever. And normal people, they just, yeah, if Wi-Fi does sometimes not work, they just reboot. And we professionals need to live with this hardware because all the normal people accepted such broken hardware for decades. And this is also one thing that I will recurrently call out here. And yeah, so you see this also with GPU hangs, Intel and AMD on the Linux kernel, changes left and right. Why do we still need to deal with graphic hangs and network hangs? This is, yeah, even TG3, somehow everything you use too much is broken. It's hilarious. macOS simple KVM on GitHub. What do you mean with macOS simple KVM? Need to Google that. A tool to set up a quick, oh you mean, okay. Ah, that is you, or probably, I guess. So which firmware is it? Is it, yeah, OVMF, yeah, what we also use there with this company. Yeah, cool stuff. I hope that this doesn't use clover then, I guess. Anyway, hope you learned something. Hope the stream is not too broken. Welcome everyone. A little bit of a pity that, yeah, as usual, there's always something. If whatever I don't check, either I forgot to check audio or I don't, well, to be fair, the drop frames only accumulated at the end. Really a pity here. Only live on this channel. TG3 bugs, Intel wireless bugs, and what other bugs? Puts audio, obviously. Hope you learned something. Now I need to check the stream. If the stream is so broken, I will talk through everything again. And otherwise, see you later for the next stuff to come.